We are deep in the parshiot right now of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov is known to be the Bechir Sheba Avot, the greatest of the Avot. He's the synthesis of Avraham and Yitzchak when it comes to Midot. He's the one that's going to have a perfect 12 tribes. All of his kids are going to stay on the derech and be Jews. Mitato Shirema. Now, what we know about Yaakov Avinu, we saw back in Parashat Toldot that there's this paradigm, there's this like idea, this pasuk that becomes like a real way to try to understand what is Yaakov versus the rest of the world. And the pasuk is when Yaakov comes in to trick his father to get the brachot. So Yitzchak tells Yaakov, thinking that it's Eisav, Hakol kol Yaakov, the voice is the voice of Yaakov, the Hayadayim Yedei Eisav, but the hands are the hands of Eisav. And this just kind of became like this bigger vision of how the world works, that we, the Jewish people, are like Yaakov. We're the call of tefillah, the call of Torah. Our great mission in this world is to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to learn Torah, to use our mouth. We're not about the yadayim Yedei Eisav. The hands are the head of Eisav. Eisav is the hunter. Eisav is the one that's fighting those wars. And at our very essence, we are not the warriors. We're not the warmongers. We're much more from the angle of the tefillah and the Torah speech. And it becomes much more of the koch of the Jewish people. And that's always been kind of like the vision of Jewish people, especially since we've been exiled out there in the Galut. But I wanted to speak about maybe a different idea. Maybe we can speak a little bit about the yadayim of Yaakov, because it's true that our essence, we're a kol. Our essence is about tefillah, kol Yaakov. But in certain aspects, Hayadayim Yedei Yaakov also, because in that whole story, it wasn't Eisav who had covered his hair with the hair of the goats to trick their father, to trick Yitzchak to get the bracha. Rather, it actually was the hands of Yaakov. So I saw a couple of cool ideas that might be able to develop a different aspect of the yadayim of Yaakov. Okay, so here's the ideas. What do we know about the yadayim of Yaakov? So I saw in this year's Shvilei Pinchas on Parashat Toldot that he brings down that the name Yaakov, Yud Ayin Kuv Bet, the letters are actually Rashi Tevot, that if you read them backwards, the name Yaakov Bet, Kuf Ayin Yud, the Bet is Bitul, which means to nullify. The Kuf is Klipot, which are the negative energies. The Ayin is Eisav, and the Yud is Yishmael, which means that Yaakov, one of the reasons why he's the Bechir Shebavot, he's the synthesis of Avraham and Yitzchak. Avraham ultimately produced the Yishmael, Yitzchak ultimately produced an Eisav, but Yaakov is this third generation who can now take on the two greatest enemies of the Jewish people, of Yishmael and Eisav, and that's what Yaakov stands for backwards. Yaakov is Bitul Klipot Eisav and Yishmael. He has the ability to fight against Eisav and Yishmael. So here's the idea that I saw, and we take different ideas, we can put it together, we can see that we have the yadayim, the two hands of Yaakov, that are going to be able to defeat our enemies in the future. So the first one we find earlier in the parasha when Hashem tells Hagar, Hagar, you're going to get pregnant and you're going to have a child, Yishmael. And then when she explains about this child, she goes, Yishmael is going to be Yado Bakol. But then it says, the Yad Kol Bo. But the yad of kol is going to be, what does that mean? When we say in Birkat Hamazon, we say in Birkat Hamazon, Bakol Mikol Kol. What is Bakol Mikol Kol? In the Torah, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov each get a certain level of blessing. They each have a certain level of zechut, and they get certain blessings in this world. Yaakov is known, Avraham in the Pasuk has what's called Bakol. Yitzchak has what's called Mikol, and Yaakov is called Kol. If you look at the Psukim, there's certain Psukim that we have Bakol by Avraham, we have Mikol by Yitzchak, and we have Kol by Yaakov. Kol without the Me or the Be before, meaning Bakol means in the Kol, Mikol means from the Kol. So the commentators bring down that the Kol is slightly lessened. When you have Bakol inside the Kol, you don't have the whole Kol, and when you have Mikol, you take from the Kol, you don't have Kol. Kol meaning all. Kol is also Gematria 50 side idea, but you have in the kol everything. Yaakov is the pure, simple kol. In Yaakov, there is everything. So Yaakov corresponds to the word kol in the pasuk. So what do we know about Ishmael? Says the angel to Hagar, your son, Yado Bakol. Ishmael's hand is going to be in Avraham. And we already seen the previous weeks, we're discussing Avraham's relationship to Ishmael, the complicated relationship that Avraham ultimately is going to pray for Ishmael, is going to have high hopes for Ishmael. So when it comes to Avraham, Ishmael has a little bit of koach against him. Abraham's not the one that's going to be defeat Ishmael. And truthfully, when it comes to Yitzchak, we're going to have the same thing with Eisav. We're going to see Yitzchak is going to go out of his way time after time to go after Eisav. And that could be hinted to maybe in the word Mikol, that even in Yitzchak, there's a holdback when it comes to the Eisav that comes of Yitzchak. But back to Ishmael, it says, Yado Bakol, meaning Ishmael has a certain koach to hold back. He has a certain Magen Avraham, a certain Zechut Avot, with Avraham that we saw in last week's Dvar Torah, that Ishmael has a certain power over Avraham. But then it says, the yad kol bo, but the hand of kol is inside Yishmael, meaning the angel continues and said, okay, maybe Yishmael's going to have a power to hold back Avraham, but a yad kol, but when Yaakov is going to come along, Yaakov symbolized by the word kol, because Yaakov's going to say, yeshli kol. So when Yaakov is going to step forward with his kol, it says yad kol bo, the hand of kol, the hand of Yaakov is going to grab onto Yishmael, and he's to be able to hold and defeat Yishmael. So what do we see over here? We have one yad of Yaakov as the koach to defeat Yishmael, because yad kol, the yad of Yaakov, is bo, is inside Yishmael, is going to be able to hold him back. So that's one hand of Yaakov. But then it seems to be that Yaakov has a different hand, or he's going to use this hand twice. But because if we fast forward to Parshat Toldot, when Yaakov is actually born, we learn about his name. What's the hand? Why is Yaakov called Yaakov? Says the pasuk. V'achrei yatsa achiv. Afterwards came Yaakov. He's the second to be born. Eisav came out first. The yado ochezet ba'akev Eisav, and his hand grabbed on to the heel of Eisav. So we see now by Yaakov that Yaakov has two hands. One hand, yad kol bo, one hand is going to grab onto Yishmael, and then the other hand is going to grab onto Eisav, because this is the koch of Yaakov that we said backward in his name. Yaakov stands for bitul klipot Eisav and Yaakov. And the Shvile Pinchas even adds in his piece, he says that's also why you have to have the yud in his name. You can't just call him Ekev, because Ekev would only be a fight against Eisav. You have to have, which what the story says, he grabs onto the Ekev of Eisav to defeat Eisav. But the yud is added to his name as well. Why? Because we have to add in Yishmael, because the koch of Yaakov is to defeat our enemies, both Yishmael, both Yaakov, because we have ourselves the yadayim of Yaakov. Shabbat Shalom.